Hello, everyone, and welcome to Subculture here in downtown Manhattan. I'm Melody Hom with Yahoo Finance, and this is Breakouts. It's a series that we do every month where we showcase and profile really inspiring entrepreneurs who are changing the way that business is done. I'm so excited to talk to our next guest. Her name is Nicole Gibbons. She is the founder and CEO of Clare, a brand new startup that's focusing on paint. Paint and coating is a global $155 billion industry, and she's trying to disrupt it. Let's welcome Nicole to the stage. Hello.
Hi.
Take a seat. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is so fun.
Yeah, and I know you are no stranger to public appearances, given the fact that you have a background in interior design and you've hosted a lot of shows on Oprah's network and you've been featured on HGTV.
Yeah.
So this is a very comfortable place for you, right?
It is, but I mean, this is like a live studio audience. I feel like I'm on a talk show.
Yeah, so tell me more.
That's
Of course, we have to identify the fact that the Clare logo and color right in line with your suit.
Yeah, you know, represent.
You have some solid taste there. Tell me more about Clare. It is a paint company, direct to consumer, all online, and you have 55 colors currently. You launched in July of 2018, so you are very new.
Yeah.
And what was the genesis? How did you really build up to saying, hey, I'm going to launch my own startup?
Yeah, so in my background as an interior designer, I helped so many people through the process of making their homes beautiful. And one of the big pain points that I observed was the process of shopping for paint. It was a really painful experience for people going to the big box store. There's thousands of colors, confusing product lines. And I felt like, you know, when I was helping my clients, they actually didn't have such a hard time, right? Because they had an expert to guide them through the process. But when it was like my friends or family or people who were left to their own devices, they really, really struggled. And so I felt like, you know, number one, someone needs to solve this problem because I felt like the industry, as big as it is, with as much resources as these huge incumbent brands have, weren't really serving the needs of today's consumer. And so I felt like, number one, I'd be able to tackle that problem. And number two, bringing that designer expertise into the process to sort of remove all the guesswork and frustration and confusion from the process would help people have an easier time. So, yeah.
And tell us a little bit more about the name.
Yeah.
I understand it has Latin origin.
Yeah. So Clare comes from a Latin root word called claris that means bright and brilliant. And there was so much fun wordplay there, both brilliant in terms of color, but also in terms of being really innovative. You know, we're a modern paint company and a really old industry. It's, you know, the paint industry is centuries old. And has never really changed. So I think it just represents a really fresh take on the industry. When you think about most paint brands' names, they're hyper masculine, right? It's like Benjamin Moore and, you know, these big brands. And it's like,
Bear.
Yeah, it sounds like a dude in a plaid shirt. And so I intentionally wanted the name to sound feminine and just like the polar opposite of what you're used to from paint companies, because that's what we represent, a totally new way to buy paint and a fresh approach that's easy and approachable.
When we think about startup land, so often the acronym TAM comes up, total addressable market, and I'm sure as you talk to a lot of investors, potential investors, that's something that continuously comes up.
Yeah.
What is your total addressable market when you think about how much reach you can have?
Yeah, I mean, globally, it's a $155 billion industry, and in the U.S., it's about $28 billion, and it's growing. And you know, there's just so much opportunity there. So when it came to talking to investors, like investors, for the most part, are pretty smart people that tend to be in the know on all the biggest opportunities in business. And you know, when I was going in the room talking to them about paint, it was this overlooked market that no one had really thought to disrupt or to tackle in a new way. And so that really caught investors' attention.
I mean, just this week alone, we talk about Lyft's forthcoming IPO, Casper looking to go public. I mean, I'm working on a piece right now just trying to list all of these companies that are slated to make their public debuts.
Yeah.
When you look at the market right now, is there any part of you that's wondering, is it almost too much DTC at this point? Is it okay to have a traditional hardware store where people want to look at swatches? Is that anything that has crossed your mind where the old school way might be okay?
I mean, I think that the way that people shop today, particularly as younger people become homeowners, they just demand a different type of experience. I don't think anyone wants to spend their time in a big box home improvement store or whatever. And I think there's so many categories that aren't really speaking to, you know, my generation and even generations older than me. Like, frankly, people want convenience nowadays. And so while I do think there's an oversaturation of a certain type of DTC company, like at a certain point, they start to all kind of look the same and, you know, have a look and feel.
The whole Instagram brand, it's very obvious.
And I think, like, you know, to a certain degree, that's really more about branding than about the experience. And I do think that, like, there's no shortage of stale industries that could be refreshed with a whole new experience.
That's a good point. I mean, one person who is particularly bullish on Clare is someone we spoke to named Elizabeth Rochelle. She is a blogger. She has about 16,000 followers on Instagram, and her whole topic du jour is DIY and home improvement, and we had a chance to Skype with her. I'd love to hear
oh my gosh.
her thoughts.
Tell me more about your interaction with Clare Paint. How did you first get introduced to the brand, and how often are you ending up using their paint?
It's been a lot of fun. Back in October, I was participating in the One Room Challenge. And what that is, it's a lot of home bloggers. They have 6 weeks to completely transform a space. And when I started that challenge on our guest bathroom, Nicole actually reached out through Instagram. She messaged me. She said, "Hey, I'm Nicole. I have a new paint brand. I would love to get some paint into your hands. What do you think about collaborating?"
Are you a paid influencer? Are you getting any money from them?
I don't get paid to use their paint. It's basically if I have a project that's coming up and I have a color that I love of theirs that I would like to incorporate into the space, I reach out to them. They send the paint my way, and then I use it in my project.
As a top customer of Clare, what is one request that you have for the company as you see it continue to grow and flourish? What is something that you would like to see?
You know, they have the 55 curated colors. So are these colors always going to stay, or are they going to continue to expand what they offer?
And on that note, Nicole, you actually have a very special announcement that we've teed up for you. That has been, as I talked to different consumers, they said that was their #1 request. When are they going to add more colors? 55 is not enough inventory. What's your answer to that?
Well, friends, today is the day. Clare is launching a new color, and the most exciting thing is that we are involving our customers and our fans in the process. So they're going to have a hand in helping to decide the color, name it, and really be a part of the process. You know, our mission is fewer, better colors. We want to deliver only colors that we know people will love. And so I figured what better way to ensure that our customers will love our next new color than to make them a part of that process.
And what does that process look like?
Yeah.
So will people be voting online? Will you have a poll on your website?
Yeah.
How do you interact with that?
So starting tonight, you can go on our website and vote for the new color. We're you can follow our Instagram to get the link to the URL, and it's at Clare Paint, and you can follow the hashtag #CreateWithClare. And you can vote. And so we narrowed down to 6 beautiful colors, and that's when we started thinking about, like, okay, instead of curating these down ourselves, why don't we involve our fans? So the first step in the process is our fans are going to help us narrow those 6 colors down, and then from there, they'll be able to help name the color. And if you sign up for our emails and follow us on our Instagram through that hashtag, you'll be able to follow every step in the process. And then in about 6 weeks from now, everyone can buy that color.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that naming process. As I was perusing the names, my favorite was avocado toast, there's sriracha. You know, you're really trying to meet people where there's fun and there's a little bit of vibrancy that, to your point, the paint industry simply does not have.
Yeah.
So when you thought about the naming process, how did that take into account? Because if you look at the price point, one bucket is only $50, which is pretty much the equivalent of what you would find at a Home Depot or a Lowe's. So it's not necessarily winning people based on price, right?
Yeah, it's really about the experience, and that's what we're delivering on. We make it convenient, we make it easy, we provide expert guidance to give you confidence. And then back to sort of naming the colors, it was just a really fun, organic process. It was really just me and my team in many brainstorms in our office, trying to figure out what names matched up with the colors. And so it was a ton of brainstorming. Some of the names are really personal. So for example, I'm from Detroit, so I named a color Motor City after my hometown. I drink a dirty chai every morning, so there's where that name came from. And then, I thought about all the people and places and things that inspire me and us. I'm a huge Beyonce fan, so we've got a color called Lemonade and another one called Blue Ivy.
So it's basically your entire life, your budget, like in paint form.
Pretty much. I mean, I think, again, like back to being different, I feel like when you hear other paint company names, they're boring, right? And I wanted the process, shopping for paint traditionally has been such a hassle and such a frustrating experience. I wanted the experience to be fun. And so I wanted people to feel something when they heard those names and to evoke an emotion. And I think that's what we've done.
Yeah, on that note, I was kind of scanning through Home Depot's and Lowe's earnings reports.
Yeah.
And if you look at the transcripts, it's fascinating. Even in Home Depot's latest quarterly earnings, paint came up 22 times in the transcript in a conversation with analysts. And one of the main pain points was paint.
Yeah.
And they were talking about refreshing the inventory, making sure that the strategy is better, making sure the showrooming experience is better. And the same exact thing with Lowe's. As you look at these behemoths, have you been in talks with them? Are you feeling as though an idea like yours is really affecting the way that they're doing business, thinking, we need to really be able to attract first-time home buyers who are entering the market?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're definitely seeing signals that the market is paying attention and trying to do things differently. We were just observing one of the big paint companies who made a lot of changes to their website, and there seemed to be a little bit of influence there from some of the things that we're doing. And the incumbent brands have all ordered paint from Clare to check out our experience. So
are they like at Lowe's.com?
Some of them are, some of them aren't so secretive about it. It's like at their handle, and we're like, okay, we see you. So we know the industry's watching. We know that we're delivering a really fresh experience. And when you think about these big brands, whether it's the big box stores or the incumbent paint companies, they're some of the big players are literally 2 centuries old. Mm-hmm. So it's hard for them to innovate. It's hard for them to change the way they operate because they are, indebted to their brick and mortar retail partners. They have, a very advanced supply chain and systems, and to overhaul that and figure out ways to deliver to customers faster requires a lot of resources. So I think they're paying attention, and, we're still really early, so we'll see how the industry evolves, but we're excited to be leaders in pioneering a whole new way to shop for paint.
And we heard from Elizabeth, and is she basically a representation of your target demographic, would you say? Who is your number one customer? I'm guessing she's a female, but I may be wrong.
Yeah, she's definitely a female because women are the ones who are typically making the home decor decisions in households. But, it's funny because we launched and we have a very sort of a modern aesthetic and fun names like Avocado Toast, and people just sort of pigeonhole us as this millennial paint brand. But, our whole goal is to be a paint company for everybody. Our mission is to help people make their homes beautiful. Everybody wants a beautiful home, and that's a desire that transcends age. So I'd like to say that we're in the market to sell paint for anybody who wants to make their home beautiful, not just younger people, but we're definitely speaking to a her.
And it's interesting because even using your company as a lens into the housing market, when you think about how the downturn has we're experiencing a bit of a cooling housing market, but of course it's all regional. And as you think about mortgage rates and how they are at their lowest levels in a couple years, how do you anticipate that this will affect your business going forward, if at all? Or is it ripe for an opportunity for people to kind of renovate their homes, give their rooms a facelift rather than perhaps upgrading or moving into a second home?
Yeah, I mean, I think even outside of just the housing market itself, there's the home improvement market, so the renovation market, and then also in the commercial sector, right? There's lots of building and construction activity that helps really propel growth in the paint industry. And so we're looking at all facets, not just new homeowners. That's certainly one segment of potential customers, but we're really like I said, we're really focused on the greater idea of helping people with create beautiful spaces. And so whether that's a brand new home or a home that you've been in for 10 years and it's time to renovate, we want to be your go-to resource for paint.
Tell me more about this obsession with DIY. I wrote a piece a couple years ago about why millennials are obsessed with HGTV when they don't own homes.
Yeah.
And there is this strange fascination that folks have with Chip and Joanna, with the Property Brothers, when we're living in studio apartments and seeing rats like run across the street. And I just wonder for you, is it an escapism? Is it aspirational? How do you see kind of the young consumer right now when it doesn't necessarily appear to be in the immediate future being obsessed with buying a home?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things when it comes to like the design television and the stuff you reference, like Chip and Joanna or whatever. People love to be inspired, and people love a before and after. So even if you live in the tiny New York City studio, you one day aspire to have a home that could look like what you see on television, right? So there's that sort of fantasy element of like just escaping in these beautiful spaces, and I think that's something that really resonates with people. And then, you know, I think, you know, the other thing when it comes to people just sort of doing the work themselves, I think there's an immense amount of pride that people take in when they like paint their own home. I listened to a podcast on Hidden Brain, and they were talking about the IKEA effect, and it was like people could spend $500 on a table, or they could spend $39.99 on a table and put it together themselves, you know, from IKEA. And they love the one that they assembled themselves more than the one that they spent the $500 on. And I think it's just because this idea that, you know, I can take a paint roller and a $49 gallon of paint from Clare and completely transform my space, that I think is just such an incredible feeling for people. Often when people are painting, it's because they're tired of, you know, what's on their walls. And, you know, color is so transformative. And, you know, I think the idea that people could completely change the look of their space for just a little bit of like effort and, you know, sweat equity and $50 is pretty awesome.
So in addition to Elizabeth, I actually had a chance to speak with one of your early investors. So you've raised $2 million in your seed round back in 2017. And I spoke with Charlie O'Donnell, who is the founder of Brooklyn Bridge Ventures, and he had a lot to say about Clare.
Oh, wow. Oh, my gosh.
Tell me about how you first met Nicole Gibbons and how you got to know Clare.
You know, Nicole reached out at a pretty early stage. She was kind of at the PowerPoint stage and told me about this company, and I got really excited about it and decided to lead her seed round.
So what was it about her PowerPoint, or what was it about Nicole's essence or her experience that you were like, this is a bet I want to take?
Nicole really knows the industry. So she comes from the interior design world. She really knows the media space very well, so she's an excellent spokesperson for her brand. She knows brand building. She's been on HGTV and you know, really kind of knows the space thoroughly. And she came super prepared, right? So there were lots of things that she mentioned about the space that it was pretty clear that she had done her homework. What I really want to get into is sort of the plan around the execution, right? And so my conversations with Nicole were really all about what she was going to do, not her asking me whether I thought it was a good idea. She knew this was a good idea.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest challenge that lies ahead for Clare?
I think with a lot of companies in the direct-to-consumer space, supply chain is the #1 thing that you really have to get right. It's actually not terribly hard to launch, to put up a sort of Shopify-driven website, right? It's making sure you don't go off the rails when you scale, right? So the kinds of things the company's focusing on now is how to make sure that all of the great press and early traction that they've developed doesn't send the company off the rails, right? How do we make sure that the exceptional orders, the returns or the long tail cases don't become something that interrupts the flow of the supply chain? And I think that's really incredibly important. So we're hiring for operations, we're hiring for finance. Those are the types of things that get in the way of a company growing to scale.
So I'm sure those thoughts are swirling in your head already.
Yeah.
You don't need Charlie to remind you. But when you think about a lot of those issues he brought up, especially regarding the supply chain, which is not a sexy topic by any means, but perhaps that could be the biggest challenge that lies ahead as you continue to reach new customers, right?
Well, interestingly enough, that's where I started, right? Like I started with supply chain. So like I had a PowerPoint, but I also had all of our suppliers lined up, right? And so when I started working on the business, I felt like, it's really hard to raise capital pre-product, so at least I needed to have our supply chain architecture intact. I needed to have people who are willing and ready to work with me and to really have thought through this really tough problem of how do you ship paint efficiently? It's a heavy product. How can we get that into customers' hands in a way that's cost effective? And so I spent almost like probably 9 months before raising capital, building on our supply chain.
Wow.
And we still spend so much time on it now because, to Charlie's point, like without an efficient supply chain, you don't have a business.
So what are your margins like? How do you make sure that it is an efficient business model in addition to obviously aesthetically pleasing, user-friendly, and buzzworthy?
Yeah, I mean, margins in the paint industry range between like 35 and say 45%, depending on the company. And even 7 months in, I guess we are now, we have really healthy margins and with a ton of room for improvement with scale. We built a really, really efficient supply chain. We cut out so many layers. Obviously, going direct to consumer helps, but even in the process of manufacturing, how we handle fulfillment, it really enables us to get our product into customers' hands quickly, cost effectively, and that's really what we're focused on. You know, people, when they are ready to paint their homes, they're ready to paint their homes. They don't want to wait 5 days to get their paint or whatever. We're living in the days of Amazon where people like sort of two day delivery is a standard, right? Like, so, that's super important to us. You know, we turn orders around really quickly. And that's a huge part of delivering on a great customer experience.
And to get into the nitty-gritty of the ordering process itself, so one of the things that Claire, I think, is particularly interesting is you do a kind of design quiz.
Yeah.
So you take a quiz yourself where you are given, okay, this is your color palette. What's the lighting look like? What direction are you facing? And then ultimately they give you kind of a smattering of choices.
Yeah.
And then you end up getting swatches in the mail to put it on your wall and see what it looks like, right?
Yeah. So the quiz is called Clare Color Genius. You described it perfectly. And it's such a great tool for people who have no clue where to start when it comes to choosing a paint color. Someone might say like, oh, I'm painting a nursery, I'm having a boy, it's going to be blue, right? And they kind of have a focus.
Right.
But some people are like, I don't know where to start, and that quiz is an amazing tool. We put there's so much data behind that quiz. It really is meant to feel like an interior designer helping you pick a paint color. Again, going back to that idea of bringing expertise, designer-led expertise into the process. We want every customer to feel like they've got a decorating BFF in Clare that's not going to steer them wrong.
And I think your experience being a personal interior designer yourself has really informed a lot of these choices that you're making right now and a lot of the legwork that you're putting into the company. As you think about how you've been able to harness your own experience and your career for a couple decades prior to launching this company, where do you see the real differentiation? How do you feel like you are adding infinite value in a way that perhaps another founder could not?
Yeah, I think it is the designer expertise because, the idea of selling paint online isn't necessarily novel, right? It's all of the other layers to the experience. It's the Color Genius quiz. It's being able to get a free color consultation if you need help picking a paint color. It's, obviously the convenience of having everything shipped to your door. And then you touched on our swatches. So one of the most challenging parts about shopping for paint is the idea that people want to sample a color in their house before they actually buy the paint. And the old school way of doing that required you to buy a little 8-ounce jar of paint, buy the cheap tools, literally paint the swatches on your wall, wait for it to dry, and it's like a whole mess and a hassle. And so we developed these really innovative peel and stick color swatches. So it's almost like a sticker. You just peel it off, stick it on your wall, and you can see exactly what the color looks like in an instant. And those are the kind of innovations that are relatively simple, right? But made such a huge change in the overall customer journey and customer experience.
And for those of you watching at home and even in the audience, make sure you tweet us using the hashtag YFBreakouts, and we will be opening it up to the audience for Q&A in a few minutes. On that note, one of the things that I find particularly dismal, and I think most of the people in the audience may be aware that only 2% of VC money actually goes to female founders, and less than 0.6% goes to Black women.
Yeah.
When you think about that abhorrent metric, and I know we've had a conversation about this in the past where you're like, you don't want to be pigeonholed. You don't want to be just dubbed all of your ethnic background and your gender. But as someone who represents a Black female who founded a company that received venture capital, how do you feel? How do you feel like you're paving the way for a future generation?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very proud of that fact. And I think with that comes this immense responsibility to help pave the way for other founders who look like me, who come after me, right? Like every door that opens, in every step that I kind of pave makes it easier for the next Black female founder to go out and raise venture capital, right? I think there's so much inherent bias in VC when they see someone like me coming to pitch a business. I don't look like the typical founder, right? Typical founder is white and male, and obviously that's not me. And so I think having more founders, female founders of color that are building amazing, successful businesses, hopefully will help at least reduce some of that bias and make it easier for other people.
Being an entrepreneur now, when you look at your cohort, do you find that it's a collaborative team? Do you find that you can ask other female founders for help, for advice, for resources, or is it very competitive given the fact that it's very narrow at the top?
Not at all, actually, particularly with my female founder friends. We are so transparent with one another. Like, I have founder friends, we get together and we talk about how hard it really is. I think that's another, something I think people need to kind of pull back the curtain on. You see, these rock star founders and everything seems so amazing, glamorous, and startups themselves are kind of glamorized, but behind the scenes, it's really hard building a company. And so we get together, we talk about how hard it is, but beyond that, we help each other. We share resources. We just sort of lift one another up, and because you need that. And so it's actually the opposite. It's been no competition or anything like that. It's actually been like the most collegial environment, and something that I didn't expect in this journey. I didn't expect to make new friends who are also founders and have people that I can lean on, and it's been awesome.
For those aspiring entrepreneurs in the audience and perhaps people who might have a glimmer of an idea in their minds, when would you say is that moment where you know that it's something you can capitalize on, that it is a genuine thing that you should be dedicating your resources and time to? Because I think so often people have these ideas, but do you want to put in the sweat equity to make it your full-time thing?
Yeah, I think there's two things that have to be in place. Number one, you have to be solving a problem, like a real problem for people, because without that, it's tough to find a market. And when you can solve a genuine problem, you have a viable business. And number two, you have to be super, super passionate about what you're doing. In this journey, I encounter a lot of people who are like looking for a category to tackle, right? Whereas like for me, this has been my life's work, right? Like I've spent my whole life in my career helping people create beautiful spaces, and I'm so passionate about what I'm building in this company, in this category, and color, and I think that's what motivates you, particularly given all the ups and downs in the world of an early stage startup. Like you have to love what you're doing, or else it's gonna be a really long road.
And that's something that came up in my conversation with Charlie as well, where he said he loved the fact that there was a perfect product founder fit. And oftentimes there's great founder types, but the product might not actually be a good match for the person. And in your case, I'm curious, if it weren't paint, what would another category be? Or is Clare going to plan to expand into all of interior design and home decor?
Yeah, well, right now there's a big enough problem to tackle in the world of paint. I mean, there's obviously some natural synergies that could make a lot of sense for us in the future, but we're really excited to just continue reinventing the paint shopping experience.
And given your experience in kind of the hosting world, you were on Oprah's network, you have been on HGTV, you've been featured in a lot of these interior design websites and magazines. Is it sad for you at all that that's not an area that you'll be doing anymore, because you said you're not going to be doing any of those shows right now? Do you feel as though having that public presence might actually help Clare's business and might elevate Clare's recognition?
I mean, I definitely think so, because like as a founder, it's hard enough to build traction for your company, and most founders who don't have a media background have an even harder time. In this category, I'm already sort of a known personality, and that's tremendously helpful. Do I miss designing? Not really. I mean, I love being creative, but I still get to flex my creative muscles in many ways through Clare. So I joke that I'm a retired interior designer.
At 37?
Yeah, 37. But embarking on this new journey as a startup founder and CEO. So yeah.
What is the biggest misconception you would say about interior design? I think it's interesting, even throughout this series, we've talked to people from all different industries, and I'm so fascinated by, what people in the audience might think about, oh, it's just making a place look pretty. When you have worked with families and individuals who are going through that process, what have you learned?
The biggest misconception is that people think because of design television that it's an overnight process that can happen in 30 minutes because they see it on Joanna. And like the reality is like to design a home from top to bottom and to renovate and like knock down walls and that whole thing can be like 6 months to a year long process. And it's not all pretty fabrics and, pretty paint colors. It's a whole lot of project management and like unsexy, gritty stuff. Like I literally have my own hard hat. Like it's not it's not really as glamorous as it seems and as easy as it seems. And so I think people have this misconception that it's just such a fast, easy process. And no big deal. And I think almost they undervalue the service that designers provide. And I think it's only once you have an interior designer helping you do you genuinely understand and appreciate the value, because it just makes the whole process easier. Home improvement itself is just daunting. No matter what size or scope of your renovation, it's a really hard thing for most people. Most people don't have that design gene that makes them good at making choices, and there's a lot of regret that happens when people are spending a lot of money on their homes. And so I think design has real value that people don't always recognize.
And even thinking about your background, was an interior designer herself. And if you think about your roots, how has that really shaped you? Growing up in Detroit with your mom being an interior designer, how has that really, not in necessarily too long of a description, how has that led you to where you are today?
I think it just enabled me to really cultivate my eye and appreciate design in a way that I've carried with me throughout my whole life and my career. Even before working in interior design, I worked in retail, and on the side I had a decorating blog. So I've just always been passionate about it, and I think that was just instilled from a young age.
As you look to the future, what would you say is one passion or what one dream you have that could be totally separate from Clare that you hope to pursue?
That's a good question. I mean, there's definitely like other professional endeavors I'd love to tackle on a personal front. Having a family someday. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the future holds.
And given the fact that you live in New York City, I wish I could have gotten a picture of your apartment because I would love to see what you have done with it. You live here in the city.
Yeah.
When you think about using a very small space and trying to do something with it, what is one piece of advice asking for a friend?
Yeah. Well, number one, paint, because it's the easiest way that you can transform your space. But then I would say like your floor plan and your layout is so important in a small space. You could have two people can have the same size apartments, have their furniture arranged totally differently, and one could feel way larger than the other. And so I would say like pay attention to the scale of your furniture and your floor plan, because that'll make all the difference in really like making the most of a small space.
That's a great tip. We're actually going to open it up to questions from the audience. So we'll set up a mic, and if you have any questions, you can queue up right there in the back. And we kind of addressed this briefly, but I always ask all of my interviewees, if you weren't building Clare right now, what would you be doing?
I'd probably be still doing interior design. Yeah, I think.
That is your number one love.
Yeah, I mean, or like I came from an entrepreneurial family, so it was always instilled in me that I'd have a business of my own at some point. And so I don't know, if it wasn't Clare, maybe there's some other category in home that would have felt good to tackle, but yeah.
Given the fact that you're in the creative field, though, I think so often anyone who's in a creative industry can feel stuck. There's this point where what is your inspiration? You can only come up with so many ingenious ideas so often. So I'm wondering if you have any real strategies, practical tactics where you can get creative inspiration.
I love Pinterest. Pinterest is one of my best places to go and get lost in a hole of inspiration. It's the best. And then the other thing I think is like just getting away, removing myself from my normal day to day, like going on a trip or, just like escaping my my day to day helps me really clear my head and be my most creative.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We'll take some questions now.
Hello.
Hi.
So we now have 58 colors of Clare as of tonight, correct?
Well, we still have 55, and our fans
Okay,
are going to help us
56.
vote on the 56th.
Is there a future where there's 100?
Potentially, it's really, we're going to let our customers guide our product development process. If people are happy with our palette, we'll probably continue to keep it relatively limited. I think we'll never overwhelm our customers with thousands of colors, which is what a typical paint brand offers. We're always going to maintain our fewer, better
And yet the
philosophy.
market question I have is, given your limited selection, are you worried about the customers you're not reaching?
So far we haven't really had a ton of customers saying that they can't find what they're looking for in our palette. When you think about the market, most people actually play it safe and choose neutrals or white, and we have plenty of options in those color families. So I think we do a good job of catering to what people want, and we'll continue to fill any gaps that exist, which is what we're doing now with our new color campaign.
Thanks. We have another question.
Hi there, I'm Brian. So I have a question just about staffing up when you're basically starting up a business.
Yeah.
So in terms of the people that you look for in an HR perspective, are you looking at people that share the same vision as you in terms of just the business model, or are you looking for, do you place a higher weight on what they bring to the table if you're looking for someone in financing as opposed to someone in marketing? I mean, do you pick people from your inner circle that you knew from beforehand? How do you kind of go about that?
Yeah, at a company this early, it is so important that every single employee is completely bought into the vision. They have to be evangelists of the mission and really believe in the company. They can't just be looking for a job and trying to have a role at our company. And then I think when your team is still really small, I'm really hiring for a few things. Number one is filling my expertise gaps. So for example, I didn't have a background in supply chains. That was one of my first hires. I don't have a finance background, so making sure that I had a right hand to kind of own the finance and business aspect of what we're doing was super important. So I think really looking to kind of fill the gaps of where I lack expertise. Like, I came from a brand marketing background before being an interior designer. I worked in PR for 10 years. So we don't need to hire a PR person for a while. I've got that covered. We have a great agency as well. But you know what I mean? So but in terms of our team, that's kind of how I went about it. It was filling the gaps, also making sure that everyone was very bought into the mission. And then there's certain critical roles when you're building a customer-centric business. We needed someone to run customer experience. So just thinking about what are the most critical roles that we can't live without, because when you're small, you don't have the salary bandwidth to hire 30 people on day one. You've got to be really, really thoughtful about how you build your team.
And kind of by extension, I mean, was there anyone inside of your inner circle, perhaps a family friend, or because I mean, it seems like a lot of these beginning ideas just kind of start off with having dinner with someone. Oh, this would be such a great business idea. I could help you do the finance. You could come up with the vision. But we've seen that can create moral hazard sometimes. I mean, were you kind of in a position like that?
No, I actually didn't hire anyone from my inner circle or have anyone from my inner circle alongside me in the journey. I literally sought out to find the best, smartest, most talented people that I could. I think that's another sort of rule when you're hiring for a startup is hire people that are smarter than you, hire people that can do all the things that you can't do way better than you could ever do it. And that's really what I was aiming to do, is just to build a killer team that could help me build and scale an incredible business.
Thanks.
And keep friends out of it.
Yeah. I think that's a recipe for disaster.
We have another question.
Hi. How do you compare to a Benjamin Moore? Do you need one coat, two coats?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we built our paint formula is considered premium. So there's always a good, better, best in the paint category. And we have an ultra premium formula that is comparable with the best at companies like the one you just named. We actually did...
Who shall not be named.
We did extensive benchmark testing of our product against other leading brands, from value price brands all the way to sort of luxury paints that cost $100 and up per gallon. And we perform at or better than any of our competition in pretty much every performance attribute tested. So, height is one of them. So that's how many coats it requires. Scrubbability and washability, those are really important attributes to consumers, particularly households with kids and things like that. Also, all of our paint is 0 VOC and Green Guard Gold certified. So it's sort of the highest, meets the most stringent requirements for low chemical emissions. When you think about most of the leading brands, they may only have a handful of products that meet that level of, meet that standard, and all of our paints meet that standard. So we're really proud that 100% of our assortment is Zero VOC, Green Guard Gold certified, and really, really high performance.
I assume you're using a contract manufacturer. And the second part of that question is, how do you protect your colors? Are they copyrighted? Can you talk about that?
You can't exactly copyright a color, and
Clearly not.
there's like color matching is like a very prevalent thing that happens in the paint industry. So people will find a color somewhere and they'll go to big box home improvement retailer and color match, right? So we keep our color formulas very protected. We have people call us up and say, do you share your color formulas? And the answer to that is no, we don't. Other paint brands allow their colors to be data-based. And we're very protective of our color formulas because we believe we've got the best colors. We curated, an assortment that we feel are the best paint colors for interiors, and we really want to protect that.
Thank you. And we have another question.
Hi, so my name is Asia, and basically, I'm a recent college grad, and I'm kind of just venturing off into making my own business as well. And I know that I just kind of want to piggyback off of what Brian said briefly, like how you don't really reach out to friends to help you with these types of things, and you kind of just got like the smartest people that you knew to begin your own business. And if you could just kind of elaborate on that a little bit more, because I'm like a little bit of a different realm, but I'm thinking about getting into cosmetics and like hair care products, which is, needless to say, a little bit oversaturated of a market. So I have a little bit of different issues than you. Sorry, I'm talking so fast. I'm a little nervous.
Take a deep breath.
But yeah, so many lights. So if you could just talk a little bit about how you kind of just how did this begin? How did this come to what it is today? You said it's been 7 months already, so like, if you could describe how you started up your startup.
How did you find talent?
Oh, the journey. Yeah, so how I mostly found talent was, it was a mix of introductions through either at my investor networks or people that I knew personally. I would send emails and say, I'm looking for a head of supply chain. If you know of anyone who fits this criteria, here's the job description, send people my way, that kind of thing. I did a lot of cold outreach on LinkedIn to people who had really interesting backgrounds. That's how I found some of my best hires. And the interesting thing is I recruited a majority of my team before we launched, before we had a website. We were in stealth mode, so we were sort of operating in secret. No one, we didn't advertise that we were trying to disrupt the paint industry. So it's actually really hard to recruit really talented people away from great companies when you don't have a web presence. And so that's where like being a really good salesperson comes into play, and being able to really sell your vision to get people to come and join the company. But I'd say it was a mix, a little bit of networking, and probably a lot of time on LinkedIn trying to find people and steal them away from really great companies. So yeah.
Right. So LinkedIn, more events like this.
And events like this are great. And networking, and yeah.
Just to follow on that, though, I know some of your angel investors include the co-founders of Casper, co-founders of Harry's.
Yeah.
Not everyone can boast connecting with those people. I think, especially to her point, how do you kind of cold email without it getting lost in the shuffle, without it getting put into spam?
Yeah, it's hard. You probably will end up in some spam, right? So cold outreach becomes a numbers game, but I think it's really, the best thing that you can do is get a warm intro and have someone who can introduce you to those people. And so that's the route that I took when I was trying to network and find, get connected with, say, like the guys from Harry's or whatever. I went on LinkedIn and I saw who we were mutually connected with, or someone who I might know that knows them already, and I would ask for an introduction. And that's how I met pretty much all of my investors. A number of people who have become advisors to the company or have been really helpful have come through introductions just like that. And so you can't be afraid to put yourself out there and say, hey, Joe, like, I see Andy Katz Mayfield, can I get an intro and have them make that happen? Yeah.
Amazing. That's all the time we have for today, but we'll continue the conversation offline. Thank you so much, Nicole.
Thank you for having me. This is so fun. Thank you.